Okay.
Steve, you cool with that? That's our motion to modify work session agenda, rather. First item of business.
I was thinking B12.
No, I abbreviated business.
I have 7 o'clock.
Right on the button. David, 7 o'clock.
Unless you're going to motion that, I need to borrow that.
Good. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Get a roll call.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Scarborough? Here.
Before we get started, I would like to motion to modify the work session agenda to make the first item of business the agenda items 3A and 3B from the previously advertised but canceled special meeting of April 29th. Those items are A, the conduct of the mayor, and B, resolution of non-support.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tobias. Discussion. Seeing none. Roll call vote, please. No.
Yes.
Ernest?
No.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, moving on to our special meeting agenda item. Mr. Bear and Ms. Scarborough, if you want to elaborate on your call for the special meeting?
Statements made by the mayor in the Haymarket Beat article. I'd like to start with a motion to censure Mayor David Lake for failing to disclose to council in closed session his knowledge of allegations against town employees and for failure to keep confidential personnel matters.
So, Haymarket Beat article. So you want to be specific? Are we talking about the article that states?
I have a motion waiting for a second before we can start discussion.
Motion and second. Haymarket Beat article. Which article?
Mary Lou, you printed out that, didn't you?
Yep.
So she's referring to, I think, April 22nd, Virginia State Police clear Haymarket Police Chief of criminal charges. So where in quotations do you see that I quoted something that has not been previously released via meetings, articles, or vetoes? Where am I quoting?
Your first statement saying you had no knowledge of, and then lower in the paragraph where you state emphatically what the Virginia State Police investigation was about when council didn't even have that knowledge.
Okay, you have to be more specific.
I don't have it in front of me. Mary Lou does, so.
Where it says the allegations against the chief of police and his officers leading to their suspensions.
Yeah, Mayor David Leach said he did not call for the state police investigation. He said he never even received the letter that was addressed to him. I was first made aware by Councilman Tobias, and then where it said Leak explained the, hold on, sorry, wrong line.
So that is correct. What's not correct about that?
No, furthermore, well, because you said you had no knowledge of it, but then you state, as such, Leak explains that the letter from the Virginia State Police does not mean that that police chief is innocent of all misconduct. It only means that he did not commit any infraction against a minor. How did you know that's what the Virginia State Police were investigating when we didn't know that?
No, I had asked.
When, and why didn't you disclose that to council?
At the time, it wasn't privy. That information, whether or not it was a federal, state, or local investigation, number one, there's information that obviously I wasn't privy to and I was made aware of.
When were you made aware of it?
This isn't going to be like an interrogation. We're talking about the facts of the matter here.
Yes,
You're
and you
saying
stated that you were made aware of it and never informed council of this.
Right. I never received a letter that was sent here to Town Hall, and yet it's leaked to the press. How did that happen? How did a U.S. Post Office letter that's supposed to be regulated goes through the system but never made it to me, but it gets leaked to the press, and I never received it?
I don't know the answer to that one. I'm just looking for when you got this information
Well,
and why you failed to disclose
I would maybe
what the
go
state
to that
police were
source.
investigating to the
You've
other
got-
members of council.
You got a missing U.S. piece of mail that is now found and sent to the press to make it look like what? Like there's nothing wrong here? I won't lie. I'm not going to.
Anyone else
You
have
asked how
anything they
the
want to say?
missing piece of mail ended up wherever it ended up, because the missing piece of mail was delivered electronically at the request of our town attorney, who then forwarded it to certain council members, who then forwarded it to everybody else.
So where did
That's how that
where did
letter
this
became.
where did this letter get forwarded to? Where did this letter get sent to?
Get forwarded to? It got sent to Martin at Martin's request when he spoke to the person at the Virginia State Police, Captain Rusillo. Captain Rusillo sent an unsigned copy of the letter that he stated he mailed to you in January, and he sent it to Martin via email, and Martin sent it to me via email at my request.
Okay, this one has the signature blocked out.
Well, there's no signature on the letter that Martin was sent, and there's no signature on the letter that was sent to me.
Right.
So
somehow
the fact that
press,
it's blocked out
somehow
doesn't necessarily, first of all,
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that just because there's black ink there means that there's anything ever written there, David. It could just be someone trying to imitate or make it look like. But the fact of the matter is, the letter is legitimate, and the letter that is there is similar and the same as the letter that Martin was sent, that was allegedly mailed to you and allegedly never received. That's fine. As I told you on the telephone last week, you didn't receive the letter? Cool. No problem. I have no problem with you not receiving the letter.
Well, I do.
We know. Well,
Absolutely.
as you stated on the phone, David, you're more than capable of going to the post office and filing that complaint with the Postal Service, because Lord knows you love to file complaints with legal authorities. The fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do. It has nothing. I did say that to you.
Yeah.
On the phone the other day while I was walking my dog.
Comments like that upset me.
Well, I'm sorry. You should have thicker skin. Your apologies. Secondly, the fact of the matter is, as I told you the other day on the phone, the substance of the letter is not what concerns certain members of council. It's what you said in the article, and that is what Councilwoman Bear has said the motion and the merit behind the motion are for, is because of the comments and the according to leaks. Well, if they're according to you, they may be slightly paraphrased, but they are that is information that was garnered from a conversation, whether it be verbal or electronic, in person or over the phone. Those were conversations that are being attributed, and facts and statements are being attributed to you. You are the source of those according to. According to leak, this investigation or this letter does not necessarily clear person X of...
That's correct.
Of all,
That's
can I
correct.
finish my sentence?
No, go ahead.
Because I've been
But
very
yeah.
respectful to you tonight. So let's not start down the wrong road, because you know how ugly you
Mr.
get.
Vice,
So here's the deal. The comments that were attributed to you are attributed to you. Therefore, you made the comments or led that reporter down that path to assume that that is what you said. Long story short, during our conversation that you and I had on the telephone last week, you stated to me, when I stated to you, what are you talking about when you're talking about allegations of something against a minor? Counsel was never apprised of that. But obviously, you now know that that might be what the state police was investigating. A letter that you have never stated, that you've never actually stated that you did not initiate the investigation.
I've already stated that.
No, actually, you did not. When we asked everybody whether or not they initiated such a thing, when I asked everybody else told me no. You said, I'm not going to answer that. When Martin asked you that on the telephone, you said, I'm not going to answer that. So you never declined it. I'm not saying, that means, just like you said, you don't want to lie. I respect that.
I will not.
Therefore,
Correct.
you will not lie. If you can't lie about it, then you will decline to answer it, because you don't want the truth to come out. So again, the merits of the conversation that we're having tonight pertaining to the motion to censure you have to do with the comments that you were made or attributed to you in the Haymarket Beat article that was referenced.
And that's what I want to ask. That's what I want to find out. Which comments do you all have a problem with?
Well, you all would be Councilwoman
And
Bear,
since
who's
I-
already called the meeting and already answered that question once. Does she have to answer the second time?
Last I checked, the public information does, since we do not have a communication director, it comes from usually the town manager or the mayor. So that would be a normal thing for the mayor to talk to the press.
About personnel matters. First of all, David, the biggest problem that I have with it, since you continue to look at me, and I didn't call this meeting, but I'll have the dialogue with you. The biggest problem that I have, Dave, is when all this started happening in December, January, February, I'm pretty sure everybody up here was contacted by Dan Rome, whatever her name is, the lady that wrote the article for the Haymarket Beat, I don't remember her name. But we were all contacted by numerous members of the press, Tom Jackman, all sorts of folks, and they all wanted comments.
Well, the public would like to know.
Sure. Let me
Why
finish my
is this
sentence, please, sir.
a cloak of
Let me finish my
secrecy?
sentence. It's not a cloak of secrecy when it's a personnel matter. And as everybody else up here stated, at that time, it's a personnel matter, therefore we have no comment. That has been and has always been and shall always probably continue to be the policy, whether it's written in black and white or written in orange or just a mutually agreed upon handshake agreement. That is generally the policy for personnel matters as advised by, in my tenure of the town in the last 10 years, 3 different town attorneys. That personnel matters are confidential. Everybody up here took that position, yet you saw it fit to discuss it with a newspaper reporter in an article that was then published electronically, or I don't know if that's an actual disseminated paper or not. But you actually saw fit to actually advertise that business. And this is not the first time you've advertised our business outside.
You're going to have to have
You
a
asked
time
me a
limit
question.
here because you can't
You asked
go
me
on
a
for
question.
10 minutes and then...
You asked me a question.
Okay,
You want my
we're going to
answer?
have a time limit here.
There's no time, but we're all night, bro.
Then great. Then I'll
So,
speak.
as you've already been admonished one time for going outside of the council walls to talk to other town managers or town attorneys or town council people of other towns and other jurisdictions about our internal issues that we have with personnel.
Where I seek
So
to
this
other
is the
people,
second
other
time.
mayors' advice on
So this is the second
situations
time
that
you
were similar
discussed
to ours.
personnel matters outside of closed session.
Yeah. You know, we have the responsibility to seek professional people's advice and not be decided on a front porch. You know,
You're right. And our professional legal counsel told us personnel matters are not to be discussed in public, which is what 6 of us have adhered to.
Well,
6 of us.
like I said,
6 of us.
show me exactly, word by word, where you feel that this was a breach.
I believe Councilwoman Bear has already addressed that.
I did that once. Maybe Mary Lou can repeat it and...
So the wording that says the allegations against the police and chief and his officers leading to their suspension has not been released to the press. Where do you take that sentence? I mean, I think she would be contradicting her story if all of a sudden that I was a person leaking information to the press.
Now, my problem was, and Mary Lou, where you said
fact
you
that the
didn't
state
call for the
police-
investigation, but then turn around and say that, you know exactly what he was cleared of, when no one else on council, to the best of my knowledge, had that knowledge. So I had asked, when did you get that? And you've refused to enter into the dialogue for it. But simply put, these are personnel matters that should have remained confidential.
Ms. Baird, these are serious allegations and serious matters.
That were
You know,
unfounded.
It's a shame that this council has acted the way it is. As you want to distance yourself from me for what I've said to the public, I'd like to distance myself from you, just to let you know. So
What the hell is that?
that means
David,
a lot.
if you want to know what I'm upset with, here it is. Leak explained again, attributed to you, sir. It's not in quotations, but it's attributed to you, because you're the only one she talked to other than Ms. Provide, who provided.
She has references to the state police. I
Leak,
think she has.
you're the only one on council in the town of Haymarket that we really care about right now, David.
Go ahead.
You want to go for
Go ahead.
specifics? Leak explained this police investigation. I'm reading to those if they want to know. I'm reading a copy of the article in case anyone wants to know. Leak explained that this police investigation is not the internal investigation he was calling for to look into Root. First and foremost, you went into specifics there saying this was not that external investigation that I wanted.
Right, because I was asked a
Therefore,
question.
you alleged that you wanted more of an external investigation. Again, exposing certain personnel issues that were discussed in closed session. Secondly, Leak said he contracted the Alexandria firm of Manuel, Daniels, and Burke. Well, actually,
No.
Martin did.
No,
I was
absolutely.
first. Second, well, that's not what you said in the article. You
Well-
said you did. So
Incorrectly stated.
then, well, incorrect. You like to incorrectly state things that are in the press. That's correct. As such, Leak explains that the letter from the Virginia State Police does not mean that the police chief is innocent of all misconduct. It only means he did not commit an infraction against a minor. I believe that is what Councilwoman Bear brought up as the first number one issue that she had.
And
with
that
this
is
comment.
correct. That is
Number
my,
one,
is my understanding.
council was never, let me finish I'm trying to answer your question. Why don't you take notes, that way you can rebut in a second like the real debate. So, again, that is what Councilwoman Bear, I believe, was talking about when she suggested that council was never apprised of any investigation or any allegations or anything having to do with a minor. And the fact that you actually would put that in the newspaper against one of our named town employees is absolutely ludicrous, because that is character assassination, which is why most of us are here tonight, to remove ourselves and distance ourselves from your comments. Thirdly, or fourthly rather, Leak is also concerned that only one of the 5 allegations against Ruby has been investigated once the investigation is taken in-house. Again, that is knowledge. First and foremost, council was only made aware of 4 allegations.
No, you're made of 5.
No, we talked about this on the phone the
No,
other day.
you were made of 5.
No, we were made aware of 4. And secondly, the general public at the time didn't know there were other allegations. So therefore, you've now exposed even more information from closed session that was not disseminated to the general public. Because as far as the general public knew, there was an investigation into an allegation. They didn't know the quantity of allegations, so therefore that's another problem.
So why was
Let me finish your answer to your question, and you did, like I said, take notes here. Leak said that is because the town council would only investigate matters in which Leak provided the name of the accuser or accusers. That comment comes directly out of closed session, because that was only discussed in closed session. And that was discussed in closed session ad nauseum with Mike Vanderpool, and I believe Martin was present that morning as well. That was discussed ad nauseum as far as who discloses what, who says this, who says what. You go on to say that you were advised against by council. Well, actually, if I remember correctly, council advised you that you could disclose it in closed session. You know, you originally were advised not to disclose it publicly. You can disclose it in closed session because everybody's held to a certain level of privacy and secrecy. Not secrecy, that's a bad word.
Yeah, it's a bad
privacy and confidentiality, if you would, in closed session. But yet you disclose that outside of closed session. Again, you're withholding information from us, then you're disclosing privileged information outside. So that was only information that was discussed in closed session, number one. So, and then you go against the serious allegations. I don't have a problem with that, which have not been correctly investigated. That you're just setting us up for a problem. They were correctly investigated by the decision of council. Council decided to investigate it in-house. Councilman Aiken, myself, and our town attorney investigated it. You guys were not satisfied with that investigation and or our resolution of that investigation and our suggested resolution of that, if I remember correctly, Steve. And so therefore, you guys decided to withhold any judgment based on that investigation until you guys all spent the time to go down to Martin's office and review notes, take notes, and listen to recordings.
Yeah, how many of us did that? I'm sorry. How many?
All of you.
Mr. Kenworthy, I understand you didn't even listen to it.
Legalese, blah, blah, blah.
I read it.
You read it.
I read all
The
You
allegation.
read all the audio tapes. You
No, I
read.
didn't send you your audio.
About the-
Right.
David, I can tell you about the only thing that I see in this article, other than you believe the allegations were serious, which I concur, and I don't have a problem with you stating that to the press, was the fact that you said, according to Leak. Now, you may not take credit for this because it's not quotations. Because earlier you didn't want to take credit.
I was just asking what was quoted.
Well, but this is not in quotation, so if you didn't say this, let me know. But according to Leak, the police investigation did not have a bearing on the decision of the town council. That's correct, because
That's correct.
until I made a phone call to state police, no one even knew that this investigation was happening, number one. Number two, we didn't know any outcome of the investigation prior to our coming up with our own outcome of our investigation. So that statement is the only other factual statement that I can't argue with you in this article.
Yeah.
So that being said, I believe Councilwoman Bear has successfully answered your questions. I know I certainly have ad nauseum. If Councilwoman Scarborough would like to expound upon that, that would be wonderful, since she was one of the ones who called the meeting. If not, then I'd say we call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
Yeah, I figured that.
Well, I'd just like to say that what I've heard so far in that is that the primary purpose of this meeting right now is to sway the upcoming elections. That's the way I feel, is that this was called suddenly to do it now instead of the next open meeting that we had, the 6:30 meeting today. And the only purpose for that is 6 days from now being the elections.
We could have
I'm
done
sorry,
it the day
7
before
days from now.
the election. I mean, our
We
meeting
could
was
have
the
done
day
it,
before.
and that would have been fine.
Steve, I can tell you why, just like I told you in your email, when you sent an email, and just FYI, when you send emails, you got to copy the clerk. I've tried to be clear about that, but you got to copy the clerk for Freedom of Information Act purposes. But I tried to answer that question when I sent your email back to you. The reason why this needs to be done rather expeditiously, quite honestly, is because there's potential for litigation here. And while you may want to go down, with the captain of the ship, I don't. I've got way too much to lose, and I know that I didn't go out there and spill anybody's personal business and everybody's ear long.
If it was that important,
So
then
that's why
why
it's
wasn't there an emergency meeting last Thursday?
Well, you'd have to ask the people. Maybe they had something scheduled differently. I don't know.
Well, then it must not have been an emergency.
Well, apparently it was a special meeting purpose, and maybe they wanted to make sure most people could be here.
We were
Maybe
trying
they
to
checked.
follow the
Maybe they
advertising
checked with people on
guidelines.
Thursday who might have had plans and couldn't have been there. Maybe certain people were out of the office. I have no idea why to answer that, but that's why I feel that this is important enough to have it, whether it's 5 days before an election or 10 days before an election. Steve, I've made no bones about it. I'm not running for election. I'm not supporting any candidate who is. I certainly don't make any bones about that. This has nothing to do, in my opinion, for me personally, with the election results, because I'm going to live in this town regardless of who sits up here, and I'm going to continue to do what I do in this town regardless of who sits up here. But I can tell you, if there is litigation that comes out of this particular article where certain allegations are leveraged or levied against a certain individual who's a town employee, a respected town employee of umpteen years, I certainly don't want to go down with that fire. So you as a fireman should know, you get out of a burning building when you can.
And whether or not...
And that, sir, again, is why Mary Lou, I believe, just called for the vote, number one. And that, sir, is why I think that we need to address this tonight, and why the form of the next motion should satisfy that just admirable.
And what I was about to say is that whether or not the vote was tonight or next Tuesday would have no impact on any possible suit or anything like
It would
that.
depend upon the timing of that suit.
I don't
Would
believe
depend
that.
upon the
I
timing.
don't believe that would have any bearing on it.
Well, I'd rather get my opinion of the words that were said out there in public prior to a suit being placed, if a suit were to be placed, prior to the election, because I'd rather make sure that my name is Bennett and I'm not in it. I'm not affiliated with what he said. I don't trust what he said. I don't trust what he said. I've already spoken to David about this for about 45 minutes on the telephone, and I've explained to him my personal feelings of what he said. So I'd rather it happen sooner rather than later, quite honestly. I would have loved to have a special meeting last Thursday or Wednesday, whenever I saw the article first. But the ladies who called the meeting chose the date for the reason they did. I can't answer that. If they choose to,
I've
they
had
choose
my
to.
say. Let's go.
So
Go
you've
ahead.
already been told why we're having the meeting. You asked me an email, and I know your answer to it.
So Jennifer, the motion was to call for the vote, and I'm not sure if it was seconded. but
Second.
It's seconded by Ms. Baird. So this will be a motion for the call for the vote. Roll call, please.
Aiken.
What is the
Roll
vote?
call, just for the vote.
Okay.
So we can vote.
So we can vote, so.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Scarborough. And Ms. Baxter.
Okay. And now we have a motion that's been had discussion, so we're now for the vote.
This is a vote to censure.
Aiken.
No.
Baird.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Scarborough. Yes. Kimberly.
Yes.
Ms. Weiss.
Aye.
So that concludes our,
Not concluded. There was more than one item.
okay.
Mary Lou, can you read the resolution?
There should be a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Last page.
Resolution 2014-1, resolution of the Town of Haymarket Town Council be it resolved by the Council of the Town of Haymarket meeting in special session this 29th day of April 2014 that the council did not authorize the mayor to make his recent statements to the press regarding a personnel matter which was previously discussed in closed session and which should have remained confidential, and further that the council does not support those remarks.
Someone second it so that I can suggest a modification.
Second.
Mary Lou, would you modify meeting in this work session versus the special section, since we canceled the special section? Would you amend it as such?
Yep.
Ms. Fair,
Second.
discussion.
And just to be clear, this is a resolution that the council does not support the mayor's comments. Not you as an individual, but the council as a whole.
Discussion on this. Specific statements, can we clarify? Are we talking about the same?
See the previous article and the previous comments that were made for the last 30 minutes, I would think.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
No.
Fair.
Yes.
Harness.
Yeah.
Scarborough. Yes. Whiting. Ms. Weiss.
All right.
Okay, so this concludes the,
As a matter of record, Ms. Friel, if you would, take down the following statements. Mr. Manning, as I expressed to you on the phone last Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember which day, please be advised the council has spoken 5-1, and it is your job to uphold the decision of the acts of council. Should you decide to veto these resolutions again, much to Councilman Aiken's dismay, that would incur another fee and another cost to the town for us to come back up here and re-support the same resolutions by a 5-1 veto, override veto vote again. So as I stated to you via the telephone last week, you may not agree with it, but it's the will of the council.
and for the record, I disagree with the will of the council for their actions regarding this matter. When the public knows what happened in this situation, which eventually they will, somehow or another, they'll understand what I stood for.
Are you going to disclose more executive session privilege? How are they going to know? It's all executive session.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tobias, you've gone on record saying that on July 1st that you're going to tell all, so...
I can tell whatever I want on July 1st, but you might be reelected.
So, anyway, that for the record. We'll move on to our agenda items, our minutes. Do we see any problems? If not,
We don't have any minutes.
I'll have you in the final. Packet's large enough to have.
We'll move on to our agenda items. Under A, our special use permit in-house minor.
Yeah, we'll be having a joint public hearing with the Planning Commission at our Monday meeting.
As for in-home occupation, in Robinson's Paradise, is subject to standards within the zoning ordinance.
Sherwood.
Sherwood Forest. It is subject to additional standards in the zoning ordinance. Staff will be recommending approval of the item. There are draft motions in the item for both the Planning Commission and the Town Council to take action at next Monday's meeting if they choose to do so.
Council has usually opted to act on home business requests the same evenings as public hearings.
Any more concerns or thoughts regarding Mr. Maddox's application here? All right. Appropriation request from the police department.
Jim, want to talk to us about your board?
This is for the sign
You want to talk to us about your appropriation authorization request, sir?
For the,
Message boards.
Your message board that you're going to use to advertise emergency situations, DUI checkpoints, crashes, weather, et cetera?
well, what there's to talk about, I mean, we got it on a grant. That's what we put in for it.
What do you see the use of this actually being, sir?
We're always renting those signs from VDOT
For special event,
for special events, correct?
the town contract, the town event coordinator rent those.
I did not know that.
Part of their event contract.
Yeah, but however, I think it would be nice for the town to have it for emergencies and town events.
How do you see it being deployed and how frequently?
Well, at all town events, I guess, and any change of like traffic out here, anything like that that we can notify to help the public, get through town a little better.
How many
I don't know
DUI
how many times we
checkpoints?
would actually notify. Excuse
How
me?
many DUI checkpoints does your department do on average a year?
A 4 year, I think. Yeah. And that too.
Those are going to be advertised with a mobile messaging board?
Absolutely.
The evening of, telling you to pull over. That's going to be my guess.
Do anything. We got signs up that say DUI checkpoint. Absolutely.
I would like to see more of an idea of what the proposed usage of this would be before we spend it. I understand it's grant money, but just curious as to whether or not it's going to sit out back and gather dust and rust.
I think it would be used, and I think the town could use it for, events we did. Special meeting notices. I mean, it could say special meeting and flash out front.
Well, if you do it for every special meeting according to Martin and the Virginia Coordinated Council Advisory Board.
Steve, you're the police department liaison. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, I think it's a good idea. And I'll go ahead and move to authorize the Haymarket Police Department to enter into
This
a...
is the work session.
Darn. Never mind. We already voted today.
So you can transport one from vehicle to other vehicle.
That's correct.
And the new computers obviously are not compatible with the old acquisitions, obviously. Was there any surplus value to the old computers and the old acquisitions?
No, sir.
What do you propose to do with the old computers and the old acquisitions?
Probably the same thing. The French Williams don't want theirs, just throw them in the trash. I mean, I always said we do.
Can it be cleared and donated?
Is it politically correct?
That's what I meant, recycling.
Can it be cleared and donated to schools or anything else?
The docking station is for the inside of a
Oh, the
police
dock-
car.
oh.
Yeah.
Not the computers themselves?
No, ma'am.
Any other questions regarding the appropriation request?
No, I think we're good on that one.
We'll go to the resolution, Mr. Hines.
Right.
Baco.
Basically, the only thing I really can add is due to recent changes in with our policies with VML insurance, it prompted us to look at all our alternatives. Through doing this research, we can go private sector, but we found those to be more cost prohibitive. And reaching out to BACO, which is Virginia Association of Counties, group self-insurance risk pool actually offers us more competitive rates and provides the town with the current coverage already held, if not additional coverage. I've included two separate reports that basically show the comparison. And this additional coverage actually even still comes in significantly less.
That's good news.
Fantastic.
We are
Yeah.
looking at basically in adopting the resolution to make that switch. This would start effective July 1. All of our current VML coverages would remain with the town through the end of June 30.
Brian, the Virginia Court summary form includes some descriptions and some dollar amounts there for general liability, law enforcement liability, et cetera, versus the VML quote contribution summary does not. Could you provide those via email to council for their review, as well as the same information from the private sector coverage that you investigated, please?
Sure.
With, that way we can compare apples to apples, not just final dollar amounts.
The one thing I will say with the private sector, we will do that, get that information. You do have to go to multiple multiple organizations and stuff, whereas VACO and BML both, they cover comprehensively, but we will get those quotes for you.
I mean, obviously, the bottom line for Virginia Book is smaller, but the individual ones for VML are smaller for certain categories. So I'd like to see to make sure that we're not, I don't think there's anything such thing as over-covered, but I'd like to make sure we're not under-covered and not excessively over-covered.
Did I
And the line of
understand?
duty act coverage, what is that? Because I thought that was something we participated in directly through.
No, we opted out.
We opted out.
We opted out.
So we had the ability to go self-insure on that.
That's correct.
Thank you, Jim.
Did I
But like the
understand?
crime
oh,
line
sorry.
is twice the cost. Not quite twice the cost.
Did I understand correctly that the private insurance, none of the private insurance companies cover everything, that we have to go to multiple companies?
You would most likely have to go to multiple companies. Any other questions?
Any more questions? Thank you, sir. Stay up here. We got that HVAC.
Actually,
No, next
That
is
restructuring.
bond.
yes, one of the tasks assigned for our new treasurer was to look into the debt restructuring of our current bonds and obligations. After meeting with Robert Lauderberg with VML VACO Finance, our town clerk, town treasurer, and I felt it was in the best interest not to pass up an opportunity for refinancing. This refinancing will not extend the life of our current obligations and will create a significant cost savings annually and over the life of the bond in general. We've been looking at this. Once again, we've looked at going through private sectors. One of the things that's nice about the VML VACO finance option is we can get 3 quotes, and they will handle getting us 3 quotes on the refinancing process. They've also included a schedule of tasks, and they can accomplish this before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
If we can save approximately $10,000 a year, $114,000 over the life of the bonds, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
One little added benefit, it actually reduces the 2005 bond by 1 year. That one won't be paid off until 2025, and it's restructuring will be paid off in 2025.
Nice.
Better news.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's factored into the $114,000
Yes, sir.
savings?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Which is probably very good contract. So,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll take it.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
Not on it.
Okay. And our HVAC,
Yes. Included a memo and recommendation included. I've been doing a little bit of research on SEER. I tried to make it as a general. I actually found some research actually compared it to like miles per gallon. It really kind of depends on the user and everything. I did try to get Milton and I kept playing a little bit of email tag, but we never got a chance to really meet and kind of talk about this. I wanted to get his take on this. I think over the course of life of the system, I don't know if you're going to see much more of a benefit. You're going to pay additional money now, which you may see it in the life of the system, but the question is, do you want to save it now or do you want to save it over the course of the next 15, 20 years? Going with a higher energy rating doesn't necessarily extend the life, from what my understanding is, and so, and it basically still depends on the user. So it's just kind of like when I put an analogy in my report to you all, that my recommendation that basically it's almost kind of like miles per gallon. You can get a very fuel efficient car, but if you are punching the gas at every single stoplight, you're not going to reach that maximum fuel efficiency. So if anyone's ever worked in an office, especially a small office, you know that thermostat gets played with a few times. So there's no way to really control that unless we put boxes on it. So, with that being said, though, we did get the quotes on both 15 and 16 SEER rating units. We can raise it. It roughly equates to about $1,500 to $2,000 the more you go up on the SEER rating. And so, Either way, I think we're still very good. We're going with Brothers Mechanical, our BRS, I believe is the recommended company.
BMS, yeah.
BMS. And either one, I think they've done work for the town before, and so I think they do good work and they provide us a quality unit.
So after all this, we're still back to 13 will be.
My recommendation to you all would be going with the 13 SEER unit, but I don't have any qualms. I think it's really ultimately a decision about whether or not we want to go with it. I think you see savings in the long run or you see savings up front. In essence, you're still going to have the same lifespan of the unit.
Same lifespan, same warranty.
Same warranty, same lifespan.
Okay.
So the 13 is 9989?
I think it was actually a little bit less than that.
Down to 1528?
No, the 13 SEER, if you look back, we calculated the estimate from the last one, the net project cost was $67.89.
Page 41.
Page, yeah.
In the correct order, page 41.
One of them.
What's your opinion on all this 13 versus 15 versus?
Well, like Brian said, we never did get a chance to talk, and so therefore I didn't have time to put any numbers together on this. I still think probably got time to do some of that,
Yeah.
sure. So I'll make a point to get back to Brian, get some numbers, get some more accurate findings. And also, there's other companies around that would be glad to come in here and give a proposal and give you the best numbers you could ever see of, because they have the square footage written down, BTUs per square foot, and the whole 9 yards. And I can contact those people very easily. I got about a fistful of them that, I'm available to.
Can we do that at this point, or we make public
Yeah.
prices?
Yeah.
I don't think. We've made
Yeah, we
it
reached-
public, anybody can come in.
We reached out to the companies that we reached out to because we've done prior work with.
I think the question was whether your recommendation on the SEER value, of which ones to look at, whether or not you want 13 or 5.
I think, okay, that would be, my decision would be the 15.
If we come Monday with, based on the 3 that we have and the ones that are out there and advertised that we can go by on Monday, have a better thought process, to better recommendations versus the numbers.
Probably.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll try to get good.
Can we just get some information about this blurring one? I don't
Yeah,
know who it is.
it's by Arctic Sun. They actually use the American HVAC company that monitor our systems. They
I think we're going to make an official record, then we need an official record saying who it is.
they send it
The
over.
sheet of paper isn't acceptable for the
It's
packet.
when they send it over as an image.
I don't need an explanation. I just need Arctic Sun somewhere out here, or something that we can
Gotcha.
read legible. I can't even read half of what they've written here.
No problem.
Other questions about that? We'll go to the pedestrian improvement grant. Hi, Ms. Holly, how are you? Thank you.
This project is circling back around. I went ahead and gave the background. This council has been involved with the pedestrian improvement grants, also known as the Connolly money. The history of the project is given where we went through the process of advertising an RFP, interviewing top shortlisted candidates, and the shortlist committee had come up with a top shortlisted firm and asked for the man-hour estimate. We ended up not coming back to town council at that time because one of the things that we're doing as part of this project is tying into the VDOT work that they're proposing on the Old Carolina Bridge. Since that was in the design-build process, that was in flux. And one of the lessons I know that I've learned as part of the enhancement project is you don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse and then do something, sit on it, and then have it change, which ends up costing you more money at a future date. So we held off on coming to council for the award of the project until VDOT had progressed their design to a point where it's fixed and we can tie into it. So the current status is, like I said, we have confirmed with VDOT that they're at a point that we can move forward with designing our shared use path to tie into the project. We have received a man-hour fee proposal. VDOT has reviewed it and agreed with the hours. I forwarded it to Martin the other day, but I don't think he got it, so I'm going to re-forward it to him before the council meeting for him to review the proposal as well. In addition, knowing that this was coming up, there isn't a budget line item in the budget for fiscal year for next year, both for the expenditures and the reimbursements. And one of the things I want to point out with this project, this is 100% reimbursable. This is not an 80-20 split. So anything that we spend on it will be reimbursed. And so it's my recommendation that the town council move to award the contract for the design and construction plans to Rinker Design. And I've given you a draft motion for that effect as well, and included as attachment the man-hour fee proposal.
Okay. Any questions for Holly?
Great job.
So is this something you want to do this fiscal year or next?
I figure it's because of where we are in the fiscal year, the actual design work's not going to start up until next fiscal year. Because we're hitting by the time everything gets signed and approved. And I know there's no budget for this year.
That's right.
So I was pushing it to include it in next year's fiscal budget, but I wanted to get the ball moving and rolling now.
And you want us to change it from the 90 that's in there now to the 129?
Well, the reason it has 90 is because the estimated design schedule is 18 months. So I think it's going to follow. There is going to be some of the money that rolls into the next fiscal year. So it was actually not, the whole amount was not put in. It was put in for the estimated amount that we'd expect for the next fiscal year. You can put the whole thing in if you'd like, just to be on the safe side. But there was a reasoning behind that.
Okay.
It can be modified.
There's a re-advertisement.
Small percentage points.
That falls under it, doesn't it?
It falls under that.
That's an adopted budget.
Yeah, but it's all,
The
it's,
proposed budget,
yeah, but it's all reserved, generally reserved for streets and beautification.
we'll leave it to Mark. I don't think we
Let's give more than 5 minutes to the decision.
Okay.
It's more on the forward to the fee proposal. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Rashawn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was a carryover from last month's agenda. I believe the council wanted to have all council members in attendance in order to make a decision. So,
Yes.
same item carried forward. I did consolidate the resolution and ordinance into one document, and I've amended the draft motions accordingly.
Okay.
It would be several motions on the table. It would be either to support the amendments to the district, to send it back to the Planning Commission for further discussion, or to take no action on the item. So those are the 3 motions I've provided for you.
Okay.
That's all I have on that item, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
No problem. The next item is the plan,
Can we talk about that for a second? For the sake of talking about it again. Does anybody have a problem with what we finally decided? Anybody opposed to the ads advertised? District overlay, or so? Can we discuss it?
Sure, I'm opposed to it. I think the town should keep it the way it is.
Anybody who wants to vote?
If you like to vote.
You're opposed to it?
No action.
Okay.
I like the way it is as well.
Fair enough.
Me too.
Stay where it is, stay the way it is.
Fair enough.
So, no action.
Discussion, it seems.
Okay? See if that happens on Monday. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Also, the next agenda item.
Right, sorry. Parking ordinance.
We did receive 4 proposals for the parking needs assessment and ordinance review. You were provided, I think, previously the 4 submissions. The commission recommended 2 of the 4, that is EPR and the Berkeley Root Group, in that order. Preference to EPR and then a second preference to the Berkeley Group. Going through the EPR proposal, staff felt that they had a better handle on the local project knowledge in terms of the projects that we're dealing with in town and our needs and assessments. Both proposals came in under the suggested budget by the council, and that was $15,000. The delivery for the Berkeley Group, which was the second option, or the second recommended option, was 4 months. The recommended EPR proposal would have a deliverable in about 2 months. So again, staff recommendation is with the EPR proposal, and I've drafted motions to that effect. Actually, I've drafted motions to either support one or the other group, and then a secondary motion to allocate funds from the capital reserves for the service not to exceed $15,000. I skipped 2 in the draft motions, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
The two came in within $200 of each other,
Correct.
but I thought we had to award to the lowest cost. Is there an exception here?
This wasn't a
D is
standard
recommending
process.
that they award to you, which is the lowest one.
Correct.
Well,
But there wasn't a
more
restriction.
there.
There wasn't a restriction for this. It wasn't a closed bid proposal. It was a, I forget the term that's used, Brian.
This is for rendering professional services, so you're not required
Okay.
For the Glen bidders, I guess.
by the
I'm not
Virginia
saying
Procurement Act. that you
what I
gotta go
want to
with the
do.
lowest
I just wanted to make sure I understood the clarification there.
Technically speaking, you all could have gone with the highest bid if they thought that was the highest bid.
The recommendation wasn't based on the cost difference. It was just, again,
The 2 months versus 4 months is probably
Correct.
a better thing.
Yeah, that's why EPR was the planning commission's first choice also.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Marcel, can you get a agenda, adjust your draft motion to be 1C, make it number 2 for that, for the appropriation aspect of it?
Yes, sir. We'll do that. Thank you.
Parking and street repairs.
Yes, I've provided some background as to where we've been to this point. We do have a couple more projects to make the necessary repairs at the property at 14740. First, what I wanted to refer to, talk about, even though these are in reverse order, I'd recommend that we proceed with having Service Master do the removal and remediation of the issues within the back rooms of the property. I think we got 3 different quotes on this process, and I think they will do a very adequate job. With that being said, we also did receive Dave Hall's structural engineering report, and I'd like to work with Genesis, our public works company, to address the work scoped out in Dave Hall's structural engineering report. None of the specific jobs will run more than the identified spending policy for the town, but together the projects would be more than the spending policy. However, what I'd rather not do is compartmentalize each of the projects individually. Now, we can approach that from different aspects, but we want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples if we do want to do that. But I would basically bring that to you. I have been working with both Mary Lou and Councilman Scarborough and Councilman Bear on this issue and trying to get these resolved. At this point, we're at a point where we're just about nearing the finish line. Luckily, nothing has been seemed to be too costly, but this is work that does need to be done as we are the property owners.
Right, on that note, if you're suggesting that it's all not done at an a la carte basis, then it's all done at the same time, and it would all be one job as well as we would work order, therefore it would have to entail and comply with our spending policy, therefore it's just going to be over that, then we have to get paid from other contractors, not just Genesis.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we can do that. I just want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Pretty much spell out what needs to be done, correct?
With most regards, I mean, like, the thing is like the pointing and the repointing of the center block. That's pretty much verbatim. Trying to figure out the issue with the drainage downstairs. There's different approaches that you could do, so we can certainly get with other contractors. What I would probably do is I'd reach out to other general contracting companies that we've worked with before, unless Mr. Kentworthy also has some ones before we get this process started, and we'll get this project scope together and have them give us estimates.
I'm not sure how you answer my question. The long and short of it is, it's bid
We can do-
project.
we can do
It's
it-
our spending
yes.
policy, therefore we need to get bids.
My,
Put together the scope of work based on what you know that needs to be done from both the town engineer and the town building official.
yes.
And get together a scope of work and put it out for bid, because the overall scope of work, as you just stated, and since it's been stated that you don't want to do it a la carte, it needs to be done in one fell swoop, so it needs to go out for bid.
Well, what I'm offering to the rest of the council, and what I'm making the point of, is that we could do this one job at a time and compartmentalize the process, or we could do it all at once, which I think it makes better sense to do it all at once. But I'm
If you're
saying,
doing it, if the job is to repair the building and the structure and bring it into, not necessarily compliance, but bring it up to the regards that our building
Right.
officials have told us it needs to be done, then the job is to repair the structure, repair the foundation, eliminate the water damage, et cetera, et cetera. We've already kind of done it out of cart by putting the sump pump first, you know, but the rest of it is all general repairs and maintenance that needs to be done. I mean, you can hire one person to paint, one person to caulk, and one person to sand the wallpaper if you want, or you can just hire somebody to remodel your room. So what I'm saying is that it sounds like you're saying that we should all do it all at once, in which case you need to follow the spending policy. And you need to get bids and put together a request for those bids,
Or we can make an exception.
which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well,
because
it
then
sounds
you're
like
just
that might be
circumnavigating,
a fast track, you know?
because then you're just circumnavigating the spending policy which council worked so hard to put into place.
Yeah, but it's used as a guide.
Yeah, but-
It's not,
Everybody, no one has told us that there's no need to fast track it. Our building official and our constructional engineer, our building engineer has told us that there's nothing inherently dangerous. It's all about making it pretty and putting lipstick on it. So let's just do it the right way.
taking care of mold.
well, actually, I wouldn't say
It's not
like
hazardous
making it
mold.
pretty. I mean, I think the biggest issue is this, and we moved with the sump pump because we addressed the number one issue, which was water getting into the cellar area. The water is leading to moisture, which is then creating the decaying of the rest of the structure. So we're not really putting lipstick on this one. This is not a renovation project by any means. This is basically fixing, doing regular routine maintenance. The only reason I even suggest that is because of the fact that you are going to probably add another month of time to get that. I totally am aware of the spending policy. That's the reason why I'm coming to you all saying that we'd rather not compartmentalize the project. We can go out and get 3 estimates. That's not a problem, but that is going to delay the process of getting this work done. I feel like, in essence, that, and this is not the stuff, we do have a qualified contractor, and I'm not saying that this is something you should circumvent anytime or on any given time, but I think given the circumstances and as long of a process this has been, it may be appropriate to look at that. You certainly could cap the number of the projects via the, and I kind of even put that recommendation in my recommendation to you all, that you could basically say, don't go above this, which would be the equivalency of 3 separate jobs of $2,500. I don't think it's going to be that much at all, but I'll leave to your all's
Well, let's
discretion.
take it around the table so that way we hear from more than just one council member. Mr. Aiken? Yes.
With the amount of work that needs done and the amount of time that this has taken to get to this point, I would entertain the idea of giving Brian the leeway to do multiple things under a certain cap, spending cap.
Okay. Ms. Barrett?
Yes, I can see waiving the spending policy so we can get this done sooner rather than later.
Ms. Harms?
I agree.
Ms. Scarborough, I think I know your answer to that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yes, I agree.
Mr.
Get the
Kennedy?
job done.
Okay, all right.
Brian, where's the estimate from Purify?
Pure Clean, yeah, I think it's on the last page of that.
Needs to be done.
Much longer.
That's certain, that's what I think. Well, yeah, but that's Purify and then repair. I'm just curious as to the bid from Servco.
There's other companies other than Servco.
Well, sure, he's got bids here.
Yeah, for
There's
that.
salt too.
Yeah,
Well,
we
that's-
got,
that's-
we got
That's what I'm asking for, is the third quote.
from Pure Clean, that was $7,000. $7,000?
it does seem to be missing from on the report. I'm not sure. If you notice on the page,
I can send it to you, I don't have it with me.
I have it.
You have-
I think maybe the pages got stuck when we have that one.
But it was significantly higher than both of these. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when it's
It looks like the issue was here.
It was
Up there.
$8,000,
Yeah, it's almost $8,000.
Do you have the number with you, Ron?
I don't have it, but I can get the number pretty quickly.
The submarine grant.
It was 7. It was in that range. It was a 7 to 8 range.
Yeah, I mean, he had to deal with this in my own house. I just found it hard to believe that, I understand the variance in pricing, but I find it hard to believe that one company, both Service Master and ServPro are the two largest of the companies that do this for most insurance companies. For the sake of comparing apples to apples, we've got one that came in at 50% of the cost.
I can send it to you, I have it.
I've got the Service Master and ServPro.
No, I have Clear Clean.
Okay.
I can send it to you.
Deducted for you guys.
Yeah, we
I didn't
have
get
them
deducted
come
for
in
the
there.
town.
But we're utilizing that
Same
one.
one.
Now I can get with Growl Whirlpool with Pure Clean.
Some of you guys, I just need the number, that's all.
Yeah.
Not that hard.
Yeah, I can get it.
A1 flood test.
We need to talk before the meeting. Yeah.
Talking about good companies.
We've tried to suggest that you talk to us before meetings, and it doesn't seem to always happen.
Okay.
Moving on.
Can I get that number, please, tomorrow morning,
Yes.
first thing? Thanks.
I'll have it to you this evening.
Thank you, Brian. Department reports, Treasurer Renee. Since we're taking away.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is my treasurer's report as of today. So 2 months before a fiscal year end, it looks like we're coming under on local taxes. That's mostly cigarette taxes and business license. And under expenses, we're under budget everywhere except admin. And I've listed the line items that are significant, or that are over it all at the bottom. Any questions?
What is our approximate net carryover for the year to end today?
You mean from prior periods? Well, we do have
For this fiscal
$2
year?
million in the
No,
cash
just
also
For this
now.
fiscal year.
For this fiscal year, it's the 150,000 we're over. And that's the total actual to date revenue minus the actual to date expenses.
But typically, some of these things still come in late, like
Yeah,
meals.
yeah.
I mean, that's a big number.
And we'll be making adjusted entries, for things that come in August. That was July.
You mentioned,
But as of right now, your expected excess as of right now is roughly 150.
No, that's what it is right now. So
That's what I said. Your expected excess right now is 150, give or take some pennies.
yeah.
Kind of a number.
Thinking what I'm thinking, Jim.
Oh, great minds think alike sometimes, Catherine.
any other questions for Renee? Thank you.
We need to let you all know that contrary to the last email you saw from me on the budget steering, we did not make a cut for advertising in 2019. So, budget public hearing, and the ad is set, May 19th.
You saw it on the website?
Yeah.
Advertising? On the website? Was it posted out front?
Not everybody has the website, Mr. Tobias, just to let you know.
I wasn't talking to you, sir.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make
You have the website. You have 6 phones.
Brian just reminded me of another item I almost forgot about. We made a decision as a group about the SIS conversion, and we decided to stay with QuickBooks. For a couple of main reasons was, even though Assist is a good program, it's sophisticated, we thought it was too big for us. It takes more manpower to use, it's more expensive. And even though, it's paid for, we wanted to use it, we felt like it might be good money after bad. And also the fact that it's not well known. So if a few people were to leave, it would be real, the transition would be hard, and the audit would be a little harder. They're not going to know it. So we decided that we can design QuickBooks to do what we need.
Okay. Thank you.
above that more, please?
Yes.
On the enhancement project, I'm sure you all have seen that the concrete barriers were installed and the traffic shifted and work is now occurring behind the concrete barriers and barrels. The contractor submitted a revised schedule, still showing the project will be completed on schedule.
Good.
They did submit, and I approved a change order for an additional $2,107.50 to change temporary pavement marking to paint, because with this wet weather and the up and down temperatures, tape would be prone to unraveling, which would be a great disservice to our traveling public. And so they requested to make the change, and I approved the change order for that. On the I-66 widening project, the construction started a week late, so lots of people start late. But I do want to let you know, I received a phone call from VDOT today. They're going to be coordinating with town staff to hold a meeting here at Town Hall because they have received some complaints about the I-66 night work. And they've decided to hold a public outreach, pardon my dust type meeting, and they're trying to schedule it for the first couple weeks of May, somewhere in the first couple weeks of May, to hold here to reach out to the public.
Okay.
The I-66 Route 15 interchange. The bids were submitted by the design builders, and VDOT issued an intent to award letter. The successful bidder actually proposed a different interchange concept than the one that VDOT had moved forward with, and that's called a diverging diamond rather than the one that VDOT was proposing, which is the flyover. Before I go into more detail on that option, the non-successful design builder issued a protest to VDOT asking them to reconsider their selection. And so VDOT is reviewing. They had until yesterday to issue a response. I have not heard what the response is. And VDOT said at this point in time it would be premature to continue to advocate anything since the protest was filed and no decision was made. I do want to make it clear that until the project award or any change of concept is adopted by the Commonwealth Transportation Board, it will not be official. This could be as early as May, the May meeting, but it could take longer because of the protest. The bottom line, the interchange concept layout may change, but it's not official. We don't know if it actually will. VDOT is aware there has to be more outreach and information issued if they do change the concept. And as the information becomes available, I'll share it with town staff, town council, and everybody.
Can you elaborate a little on what a diverging diamond is?
Yes, a diverging diamond was actually one of the original concepts that was considered. And it's where if you're going southbound on Route 15, prior to the interchange, you cross over and you travel what's normally now the northbound lanes. And I have a little picture. and it's up on the wall over here as well. Because we did show it at Earth Day prior to hearing a protest was filed. And what that does is that this treats one way of medicine. Can I convert it?
Yes.
As you cross over, what one would cross over as you go into section? I believe one of the benefits is that this requires less right of way. But also, if you notice, when you're making the left-hand turn off of 66, you're going into the lane. You're not having to cross over traffic. In addition, as you're traveling south, when you cross over, you're not going through another lane. I will give much more detailed information if this is the concept that is adopted. But because it has not been adopted,
I just needed a visual. I needed a visual.
But everyone needs a master's degree in order to navigate that.
Yeah.
It would be, the idea is something like roundabouts. People were very concerned about roundabouts. With proper signing and education, people can learn to use them.
Right.
The VSMP Authority, I think at the last meeting I told you a new bill was signed by the governor. And one of the results of this bill was that the town, as a non-MS4 town, now has the option of letting the DEQ run our program. That was not an option that was previously available to us. DEQ has said they will not backcharge the town for any additional costs. However, since they would be running it for anyone statewide, they expect there to be a backlog. We have until tomorrow to let them know what we're going to do. It is my recommendation and intent, unless I hear something vastly different here, to notify the DEQ we want them to run our program, and we can always take it back to them at a future date.
We can't give it to them at a future date.
I don't know that if we could or not, that would be a much more difficult process. So until we see that it doesn't work, I suggest we follow the path of letting them run it.
Which means that we only have until tomorrow to make that decision. Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm letting you know now. But it is my intent to let them know, why don't you go ahead and run it for us, and if that doesn't work, we will take it back from you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
All right.
And the site plans for the Chiefs and Chick-fil-A are on here?
I'm sorry?
So those are site plans for Chiefs and Chick-fil-A and...
The sheets, there were comments who were reviewed and comments returned. The Chick-fil-A special use permit has been submitted, is under review, but they have not submitted a site plan, amended site plan. And the Haymarket self-storage, I just got the comments back from DEQ. We'll be sending the comments out here shortly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. You're up, sir.
Thank you. Mrs. Harness just stole most of my thunder. We did have
Shame on you.
we did have an information move at Earth Day, and it was well received. As a staff, we took shifts staffing that, and generally excitement by most folks that came in. A lot of folks excited about a Chick-fil-A. But starting to see a lot of activity, just get a lot of phone calls about availability of properties in town. Not seeing much more movement on the Payne Lane project across the street, although we have been contacted by several vendors who are interested in being part of that project. So hopefully in spring things tend to wake up. So what I'll start including with my future reports is those zoning permits that I'm issuing. We've been issuing a lot of permits for decks, which is typical in the spring. We are starting to see some new businesses come in town as well. So my future reports, I will list those for you. So, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Building officials report. I'm sorry.
I have a question it's probably an engineering question, and I didn't know if it was for her or for you guys, but there seems to be a problem in front of my property with the street being above the sidewalk, and when I left tonight to come up here, the sidewalk was underwater.
Right. I'll probably be able to just talk to you about that. I think it's temporary, but I'll let Holly actually she can maybe talk to you in our office there.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, for the sake of the town attorney, for everybody, can you repeat his comments or ask Ms. Leonard to come to the microphone for everybody who's reporting? We couldn't hardly hear half of what she said, so nobody in the audience could hear half of it. So, Ms. Leonard, if you could come to the mic or have David repeat
I
your
was just
concerns.
asking who I should communicate with, you all or her.
Right.
He said her, that's fine with me.
And it
You didn't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
We did.
Regarding
Our attorney
the
asked that you come to the mic.
the only information was the fact that the street is above her sidewalk. But yeah, she'll be able to be out there. Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Any questions about our building official? Otherwise, we're going to move on to our museum report. Ms. Denise?
Actually, do you know where we stand in regards to the temporary occupancy that we given to Mr. Can you stop that, please? Mr. Lomadozzi for Next Level Fitness? Or do we need to talk to the commercial?
We actually are working with, we actually have a meeting scheduled tomorrow. There were some few little things that left that were that Mr. Lombardozzi needed to do for the outside site stuff that was out of Mr. Well, I was going to say out of Colby's control. He's working with Mr. Lombardozzi to get that done. Joe is actually, our building official is meeting with him tomorrow, and I'm hoping that we can get this done so we can get this to a final CO.
When does their temporary expire?
Temporary, basically, he's allowed.
September 30th or September 1st? September 30th?
Yeah. Yeah. That's for the whole entire site, I believe. That September 30th date.
You're talking, he's thinking of the actual
Next Level Fitness
building
addition.
official occupancy. He's thinking of,
Oh.
Yeah, I'm worried about the temporary that we gave.
Okay, that's actually. actually something Marchand would have to address.
It's September 30th.
So my question still remains unanswered, then. Do you know if Marchand and everybody is working with John to get that rectified?
Marchand is working with John currently. He's up there in the back.
Could I get an update via email for that tomorrow?
Yep.
If you'd like, you can CC the rest of the council.
Yep.
Or ask Marchand to provide it one or the other.
He actually has a website plan.
I know.
Yes, this we just sent it.
I mean, I kind of know, I don't ask too many questions I don't already know the answer to. So the rest of the council may not be aware that that deadline is semi-regularly approaching.
All right. Denise.
Good evening, Mayor, Leek, and Council. The museum report. Earth Day was a success. The museum saw over 100 visitors that day. We handed out 75 goodie bags to the kids that visit the museum. On display were the original doors to the old post office pharmacy building, and I had several people show interest in becoming volunteers. And actually, since then, 2 people did come in that visited during Earth Day that are now volunteers at the museum.
That's great. Wonderful.
Yes. Advertisement in the Bull Run Observer. The Haymarket Museum advertised in the April 18th edition of the Bull Run Observer. The ad will run an additional 5 times between now and the end of the fiscal year. The advertisement basically advertised what will be in the museum, what will be on exhibit, and operational hours. And since then, I've received 2 additional contacts, and those 2 women have started as well. An update on the Town of Haymarket Health and Fitness Expo. At this time, I'm waiting for the Prince William County Parks and Recs to give me the available dates for weekends for those specific months of August of this year, October of this year, and then May of 2015.
Okay. Great. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Please start recording. Chief Burke.
Anything? Questions, comments, or concerns?
Beavers.
The beavers are back.
Are we having problems with them down at the end by the tracks, by the creek? Is there, given the flooding and given the fact that there obviously is a substantial dam there, is there anybody that we can contact with the help of possibly removing said dam? Or should it just be concerned residents who don't want their houses to flood?
I will check and let you know tomorrow, sir.
Because I know that there's certain assertions as to hunting beavers, et cetera, and eliminating and relocating beavers, et cetera, but perhaps maybe the Boy Scouts would like to do a community project and remove a beaver dam. If not, the duck commander seems to be very able to do it with dynamite and machine guns.
Can they do it before we get 5 inches of rain tonight?
Brian and I met with Ms. William, Department of Environmental
Resources.
And we have discussed that with them. They are going, the county's going to come in and take a look. And as they've done before, they have to take out those dams.
After the rain or before the rain? Can they take a look in the next day or so when the water's almost up on?
Yeah, we're moving at the speed of the government, unfortunately. But
Because depending on where they come out and look, they won't necessarily see the problem that's caused or exacerbated by.
the ultimate goal is to actually look at doing complete storm creek restoration and doing it as a partnership. Prince William County has some access to, they had access to funding, and then and they've done some creek restoration throughout the rest of the county. So we're looking at kind of create a partnership between the 2 jurisdictions to initiate that, because I think ultimately the town has a tremendous resource in there, but it's got to be restored before, and that includes those beaver dams. But that doesn't take care of the immediate issue.
Okay.
I mean, one of the biggest dams is right behind James Shepherd's house, or diagonal to James Shepherd's house. I've seen it. I've heard it back there. It's pretty substantial.
Any other questions for the chief? All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Chief. Mr. Mayor speaks very quickly sometimes. Mr. Mayor speaks very quickly sometimes and does not give adequate time for response.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The funeral escort, was that just one passing through town that we assisted with? Because we don't have a funeral home in town.
That was the officer paying respect to the mayor's mother.
Perfect, thank you. Appreciate it.
Manager's report?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I won't really add too much. I'm just going to hit. I did place one other issue. I meant to bring it up when we were talking about the food pantry repairs. In the course of putting inside sump pump, the installation, they encountered, Genesis encountered an issue with tying into the breaker box. And I didn't know about the change order until I saw the invoice for the additional work. I did get with Genesis and explain to them that they need to make sure they get with me in the future if there's any regard to additional work or change orders prior to sending the invoice for the work. I feel like we've gotten that issue taken care of. Genesis explained the issue like this, and this is directly from them, an email I received from Mark Scheitz, one of the presidents for Genesis. In this situation, the scope called for a new designated circuit for the pump. That's what they scoped out. While installing, we uncovered a safety issue in the panel and addressed it right then. If they had pulled the electrician off the site to wait for additional approval and dispatched them again, the town of Haymarket would have been charged for the return trip minimum. In essence, what they did was they made a decision at that time. They had scoped out the process of putting in the breaker, but there was a problem in the breaker box when they were installing it. I regret that the work took place, and exceeded the spending policy. However, I do believe they acted actually in the best interest of the town from a cost savings and safety standpoint. The end result was they went over by $182 of the $2,500 spending limit. This is not how I choose to necessarily operate for you all. I want to follow the policies that you all have, but in this particular case, I think to move forward, it was one of those things that it probably was the best thing to do. I just would have handled it a lot differently. Had they called me, I would have gotten you all involved earlier so you knew what was taking place.
Understood. Maybe we can look at adding a percentage to that spending policy that will take care of these little overages.
Well, I don't want overages to be a common issue, but I have looked into some jurisdictions. What they do is they actually add a 10% contingency, because sometimes change orders do occur and stuff. But the issue was caught by Vice Mayor Tobias as well through review of the checks, and this is the adequate thing. So I provided you a recommendation and a motion to cover that. There is also in other news, we also did get an Earth Day report from our event coordinators. Missed this one, but you'll have it in your agenda for the regular meeting. Continued work with Bike to Work Day. There are people signed up to stop at our pit stop, which will be here. We'll probably put together the same exact display that we did for the Earth Day as well, and to talk about to any bikers. If you got a bike, go biking that day. So, even if you don't necessarily bike to work, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but you can certainly just get out the bike and knock the dust off. Martin can still bike to work, I think. Yeah. So you can sign up at National Bike to Work. RFP for the town, as we've been doing our budget work sessions and everything, I wanted to go ahead and get this process moving. So I've actually already started drafting a RFP for the engineering design services. I've provided a little bit more detail in my manager's report. And then after much consideration, obviously next Tuesday is Election Day. I have never been here during an Election Day, but I do understand it's quite chaotic with regard for town business. I am strongly recommending, and I do know that this might not be to the agreement of everybody, but that the town offices closed, just the administrative offices. The reason being is just it is chaotic. There's a lot going on during the elections. We end up having to shut our doors. The only thing we can really do effectively is answer calls. If you want us in here, then we'll be in here by all means, but I would recommend that we close that day. And I would actually, I hate to do this, I'm going to say, Jen, you've worked here during an election. Do you have anything to add?
Other than that, the staff has never had to commingle with an election of its employers. And I think that's more of my conflict. I think that's predominant over just the chaos of the day. It's a day for you all to be with your residents and campaign.
Okay. I think we'll get a consensus of going around. Close, okay?
Close, okay.
Closed. I think it's Brian's call. I don't even think we should be giving input. But that's
He's
just
asking for our input, so.
Yes.
Close.
Closed.
go.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Real quick, Brian,
Yes.
as I made note to you, and I just confirmed with Mr. that change order thing with Genesis,
Yeah.
is an oversight on their part. They should have noticed that before they proceeded, when they gave you the original bid, because they had properly inspected the work panel, the electrical panel, as part of what they were planning to do. They should have, had they been properly looking at it, prepared to do the work that they were going to do, they should have noticed the safety improvement, the safety changes needed to do. So my earlier comments to you in regards to telling them they overlooked it, they should have to eat it, it still remain. It may not be council's decision, but in the future, Genesis needs to take 5 extra minutes and really look at the scope of work and what they're proposing to bid on, because a change order of that magnitude, we should have seen. It's different, change order of tape versus paint because of weather.
Right.
But when you're installing something to an electrical circuit panel, you should probably look at the circuit panel and see what you need to change.
That is tied right in with your HVAC too.
Different two different properties, but yeah.
Different voltage there too.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Two things,
Sure.
if you don't mind, Mayor, that I forgot to put on the agenda that would be on, appointment of Robert Gates to PCA,
Okay.
an additional 4 years, and then PC appointments, though I don't have anybody who's put in yet.
But we didn't put a deadline, so, if we don't get any by Monday, it'll just have to go to the June meeting and re-advertise. So.
We'll just do that. So definitely, Mr. Day is, and,
All right. All right. Great. Thank you.
Given that the current expected excess revenue for fiscal year 2014 is projected in the ballpark of roughly $150,000 of revenues and expenses to incur with 2 months left in the fiscal year, it is going to be my desire that whatever the actual excess revenue comes in at for fiscal year 2014, based upon the budget discussions that we had for the last budget work session, that we refund that back to the town residents and property owners in accordance to the state method that we used in 2010 or 11. I don't remember which year we did it. 2011. 2011, we authorized a $150,000 surplus refund. And if the bulk of the council wants to support the budget as it was presented in the last work session, then I think it's only fair that we take some of the other excess cash and refund it back to the folks who made it happen and let them figure out how to spend it.
And I will support that.
So whatever the excess revenue is going to be, my motion will be